Welcome to the Budget Mom YouTube channel. I'm Kimiko Love from thebudgetmom.com, and today I'm back with my lonely self for another budget recap. And we are going over the last budget I have for 2022. Now, you might be noticing I'm without my special sidekick, my special partner, Ryen. Ryen is usually here for me to do budget recaps. We both share where our dollars went for the entire month, but unfortunately she was not able to join me and fly into Spokane from Kansas for this budget recap. So it's just me. And I know a lot of you are really disappointed. I'm sorry. We all love having Ryen in these videos. We have a lot of fun together, but I did not want to miss doing a budget recap, especially since it's the last budget of 2022. So December was a lot. Well, not as much as I had going on in October and November, but we have Christmas happening. I also had James' last parkour practice was in the middle of December. So when COVID happened and everything kind of shut down, school activities and sports kind of shut down, my son stopped wrestling and he decided that he wanted to start parkour. Did you know that was a thing? It is. I had no idea. You know, like when you hear like YouTube and they're like parkour, 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 and they're like jumping around on rocks. Okay, that's what that is. But in this kind of sport and the practices, they have someone show them how to do it safely. So they learn how to tuck and roll, how to land safely, how to grab different objects and things with their hands safely. So that's what I loved about it, because my son would do parkour whether he was in class or not. And I said to myself as a mom, I'm like, well, if you're gonna be doing parkour, I'd rather you learn how to do it safely. So he had his last practice. He's still deciding if he wants to do parkour, go back into wrestling, because next school year, I will have a middle schooler. My son jumps ship. He goes from elementary school to middle school, which is a huge transition. And I've always told my son, and you can agree with me or not, but I've always told my son that I always wanted him to do at least one school sport activity. Okay? I don't care if it's drama club. I don't care if it's math club or science club. I don't care if it's basketball, football, if it's a sport, whatever. I just want him to do something where he is involved in a team setting, where he learns to be a team player and have that role. So that's really, because I don't know about you, but if I didn't have sports in my life in high school, I probably would have gotten a lot more trouble than I did. Okay, that's the truth. So sports and activities are really important to me. So other than my mom's birthday, my son's last parkour practice, and Christmas, and we had New Year's Eve the last day of December, that's really what we're going to be going over. All of that spending, my financial goals, where my dollars went. So let's jump into my budget recap. Okay, so here is my December calendar and my December budget, but let's get into my actual spending. So we have my cash spending, my checking account spending. All right, and there's me adding up all of my inflow and my spending for December. So let's get into my where did my money go worksheets. So this is my monthly budget category breakdown. Now my total monthly inflow for December was $9,174. But like always, this isn't just earned income. I had a starting balance of $2,323, and that's money that I had in my checking account the very start of my tracking period in December, or it's cash that I'm rolling over that I didn't use from the previous month. The earned income, which is my TBM paycheck, was $5,100. Other income, I had $854, and that's income that I had outside of my paycheck. And I used some savings. I used $897 worth of savings, and that's what totals my inflow here. Now, if it's in red, I spent over my budget, and if it's in green, I was under my budget. So food, I usually budget around $500 a month for food, but I was at $643, so I was over for that quite a bit. I was over for health and beauty by $48. Now, I had a big change with my spending that happened in November. I took off my volume lash extensions, which is saving me about $160 to $200 a month. I'm a big tipper, so even though my lash fills are only $40, $50, I'm tipping $30, $40 when I go. So I'm usually spending anywhere between $80 to $100 when I go, because that includes tip as well. So I'm no longer doing that. I do eventually want to get them back on. I don't mind spending that price because my lashes are something that I do value, and everybody has different values in their life. So for me, that's a value. I just want to take a little bit of a break. I don't know when I'm going to choose to get those back on in 2023 or not, but I was still over by $48. Now, I did have a $720 budget for holiday. I spent $726. I overspent on my New Year's spending by $6. I was under in household, under for my kiddo James. Now I was over for, I always like to save about $1,800. That's my budget. That's my goal, I should say. I always like to save more than that, so I did. I saved $1,090 over that goal. I was off by $2 just by rounding, and when I say off, I mean my total income minus my total spending should equal 0, but I'm off by 2, and that's just due to some rounding that I did. So I'm going into January with a starting balance of $2,202. That's money that I had sitting in my checking account the first day of my tracking period for January, or cash that I didn't use in December that I'm rolling over to January. Now, if we look at my monthly investment and savings breakdown, now for 2023, I am using the debt-free version of the Budget by Paycheck workbook. If you are using the regular Budget by Paycheck workbook, this might say monthly debt and savings breakdown, but because I don't have debt, mine is now monthly investments and savings breakdown. So I invested $800 of the $9,174 inflow, which is about 9% of my inflow. 62% about went to 529, 12% went towards my individual brokerage non-retirement account, and then 25% went towards me and my husband's joint investment account. Now, out of my monthly income, now this does not include savings used, I was able to save about 35% of my income. Big portion of that, 54%, went towards sinking funds, 1% towards the $5 challenge. I was able to end 2022 with my savings challenges, $14 for that, put $41 towards my pet fund. And then going forward, you're gonna be seeing me have a baby fund. And that's just to prepare. That's not because it is happening. That's us preparing for something that we want to happen. And we're hoping and praying that will happen in the near future. So we just want to be prepared for that expense, very large expense, when that time comes. And I'll be talking more about that as we work into 2023. In fact, that is my number one priority and goal. I want to try to have that money saved by the end of 2023. So let's look at my monthly spending comparison. So compared to November, I had a decrease in my inflow by about $5,000. Why? Well, because in November, we went to Cabo, and I spent $5,000 of my savings for Cabo. I'm not using that in December, so my inflow went down. Now, if it's in red over here, I spent more in December than I did in November. If it's in green, I spent less this month than I did last month. Now, the big thing for me, obviously, fun and entertainment, and that's where I put my vacation. I put my vacation in my fun and entertainment category. I'm $5,000 less, and that's what I said. It's because we went to Cabo in November. I didn't use any vacation savings in December. I was also spent less because look at the difference. In November, I was still getting my lash extensions. So I was spending $358 in beauty for lash extensions. I took off lash extensions. I'm now at $148 for December. So it's cutting my beauty spending by about half or more than half. I also spent less in household. So in November, I spent $769. December, I was at $357. Savings, I spent more in December. I saved more in December than I did in November, so that's always good. I was over in also holiday spending. So in November, I started my Christmas shopping, and then I spent the last of my Christmas funds in December. So not bad as far as my monthly spending comparison. I do know I want to get this food spending down. And I'm really happy about this health and beauty spending because that's going to help me compensate for this utility. I'm going to be seeing this going up in January. And we're going to be seeing this go up by over $150. So I'm going to be spending about $680 or so on utilities now. So having the decrease in the spending in other categories is really going to help offset that expense. So that is the last Where Did My Money Go worksheet for my December budget. So that was my December budget recap. I'm going to pull over my January, let's go and talk about what's going to be happening in January. Not a lot for me. I would say January through probably March and April are pretty quiet around here. I don't do a whole lot. I don't like the cold. I'm an introvert. I hunker down and hide inside my house next to the fireplace. But I do have a couple main events happening in January. I have my best friend's birthday, and we also have our very first family photo shoot happening at the end of January. Now, it's crazy to think, me and Chris have had photo shoots on our own. Me and James have had photo shoots, just the two of us, but never as a family unit. And so that's gonna be really cool to have me, Chris, and James together in those family photos, which is gonna be happening the 28th of January. And I have that money already saved. In fact, I'm gonna be using some of my vacation, actually most of my vacation savings for that full expense. So that full expense will be coming from that vacation savings, just because Chris and I sat down at the end of December and really talked about our travel plans for 2023. And we are not gonna be traveling as much as we did the previous years. For instance, one of the big expenses and things that we do annually every year is we go to Cabo for my birthday. We decided we want to do something different this year, and I'll be announcing that when we get closer to that, but that's going to save us some money. So I won't need all of my vacation savings. So I wanted to use it for the family photo shoot. Other than that, I'm on comfort level billing as well for my utilities. And last year, all year, my utilities was $501. Now, I do have a 7,000 square foot house, and we also have a hot tub that's heated through electricity. So people are like, oh my gosh, your utility bill is so high. Correct, it is. So I got on the comfort level billing, and we just had it every year. You have to kind of reanalyze. They reanalyze your utilities from the previous year, and they give you a new estimate for that comfort level billing going forward, where ours went up quite a bit, up by over $150 a month. So I had to work that into my budget, and I'll be going all over that for my January budget recap. But new year, not a new year, new me, but a new year, better me. So I'm looking forward into going into all of the new budget recaps we have going in for 2023, and I'm hoping that we can work something out with Ryen so she can be here as well. If you found this video helpful, please like it and don't forget to subscribe.